along its ragged rim, trying to get a look at the river, which was shrunk by distance to a mere line scratched along the bottom of the canyon. "No matter how many times I've seen it," Joe Meek was saying, "I never get over how spectacular the view is from up here." Waldo Greyfeather Smith, the half-breed Ute whose white father had made a small fortune in shipping on the Erie Canal and then sent his son to Harvard for a proper education, had remained firmly planted upon his saddle. "This is about as close as I care to get, gentlemen." Newell laughed. "You ain't scared of heights, Greyfeather, are you?" "Afraid of heights? Not at all. I just have a healthy respect for the law of gravity." Joe Meek climbed back upon his cayuse. "Don't have to worry none about that here. Last I heard, they warn't no law west of the Missouri River." The men laughed, while Greyfeather only grinned and nodded his head. "If that's so, why did I see you creeping up on that brink as if it were a sleeping wildcat?" "Because I hold a healthy respect for wildcats," Meek answered. Kit rocked back in his saddle, laughing. "Well, law or no, it's time we start making our way down to that river if we're ever going to get there before nightfall." He slanted an eye towards Jim Bridger. "How are you fixing to do it, anyway, Gabe? Even from way up here, it's plain that wild river is swollen with spring snowmelt and bucking like a green mustang." The Englishman, Perry Swingle, urged his horse forward a few steps and pulled up alongside Kit and Bridger. "It's a roiling mess down there, Governor. Reckon we might find still water farther north?" Bridger nodded. "I've crossed this here crick a time or two during the spring runs. It's got high water all right, but the channel's deep before it plunges into this canyon, about a dozen miles upriver from here. When we get there, we'll fell some trees and fix us up a raft of cottonwoods. In the morning, we'll run a rope to the other side and pull the company across in shifts." Swingle looked doubtful, but he kept his skepticism to himself. "Whatever you say, your bush way of this here company." The other man had saddled up by then. Bridger turned the party of trappers away from the rocky, wind-scoured escarpment, and a few hours later they rode out of the broken landscape onto the flat, barren country bordering that part of the Green River. The camp-keepers began setting up camp, while Bridger and Meek went off to survey a stand of timber and select the trees that would be suitable to make into a raft to ferry the company of men and the pack horses, heavy with 24 bundles of beaver plues and equipment, across the high, swift water of the Green River. Kit Carson, Greyfeather, and Mark Head climbed over the shelves of sandstone to the river's edge and stood there a few minutes, watching the racing torrent. As they looked on, a tree ripped up from somewhere upstream bobbed past on the swift current of water, fed by the high country runoff, its branches clutching at rocks as if pleading for deliverance. Greyfeather said, "Not a good season to be crossing this river. The river ghosts are drunk with the snowmelt." "River ghosts?" Mark laughed and tossed a stone out into the fast water, the sound of it disappearing below, lost in the steady, low roar. "Is that an old Ute yarn?" Greyfeather looked at him curiously, a small grin moving across his face. "It's from the literature of Europe, actually. Germanic in origin, I believe." The smile faded from Mark's lips, and now it was Kit's turn to give a short laugh. "Reckon I ought to have warned you about Greyfeather, Mark. He ain't like no other Injun you ever met, and that's the truth. He's went to a college to learn about the kind of books folk read in England. He's got a head full of words big enough to choke a buffler, and he's particularly bothersome when it comes to quoting Shakespeare and the